right, Dad. So we are going to just have a conversation. So I wanted to interview. It's called the interview kit, and it allows me to ask you certain questions about your life and for you to kind of share a little bit, so that we kind of have that that part of you when you're no longer here. So there's 3 stages in the interview kit. It's your early life, your midlife, and then later in life. So I'm just asking this question. You just let me know how you feel. So this question says, who did you spend the most time with when you were a kid?
Bobby Grant.
Okay, so who's Bobby Grant?
He was my mother's best friend. My mother's best friend was his mother. I think I might have been named, she might have named me after him, really. Because Ruth Grant and my mother were real close. And her son was Bobby Grant.
Okay, I didn't know that. So that's kind of where you got your name from. Okay. So another question is, did you and the family have any holiday traditions? What did you guys do for the holidays that you can remember?
The only holiday tradition we had was family reunions.
Oh yeah, Bell family reunion.
That started in I think it was 1981. Because we had our first family reunion in 1981 in East St. Louis.
Okay.
Because everybody lived in Chicago except Dorothy. Dorothy lived in Portland, and Helen Joanne lived in Evanston. The rest everybody else lived in Chicago. So at the family reunion, we could get in our car and drive down I-57 to East St. Louis.
Okay.
For the first one. And then, because everybody lived here, they wanted to start going different places. And family reunions every 2 years. We picked every 2 years because it gave people time to get their money together for the next reunion. So every 2 years we start, because everybody lived here, we start going places.
Yeah.
And the first one was, went to Detroit, because we had family, everywhere we went, we had family members. So the first one was Detroit, Michigan. Then it was North Carolina.
And we went to Portland. I remember Portland.
Right.
And then my favorite one, we went to Jamaica.
Yeah, that was only 1985. That was only a few years. Surprisingly, it was some 40-something people managed to go. They tied it in with a vacation.
Yeah.
And so we had a big turnout going to Jamaica in 1985. So that's a few years right after we started, 81. That was good. We went to Kansas City for one. I didn't make one they had in Texas, but it was tradition.
Oh, okay. So where did you go to elementary school?
Elementary school was C.C. Hubbard. The same school when my mother went to, this was the principal. He taught Mother now.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Professor Hubbard. They named the school after him before he died. And see, when Mother now went there, it was called Lincoln High School, in grade school.
Okay.
But now it's called C.C. Hubbard.
C.C. Hubbard after him. Okay.
And that's the school I went to.
Okay.
The grammar school and the high school were right next to each other. Actually connected.
A lot of schools do that. So did you have a favorite subject in school that you liked the most?
Not really.
Not really?
No,
What about sports?
I didn't put the effort I should have been in economically. Because it was.
But you were good at sports.
I was good in sports, but I could have been better in classes if I applied myself more.
Okay, well then, What sports were you good in school?
I played everything. You know, I lettered in baseball, football, and basketball.
Okay. Wait, baseball, football, and basketball?
And we know what my favorite was?
Mm-hmm.
Tumbling.
Tumbling. Oh, you told me that you used to tumble. That I didn't know.
We do all that stuff that Jesse White team does now. We were doing that in high school.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about, I know you used to call her mama, but let's talk about your grandparents, like your grandma and grandpa. Like,
Yeah, to me they were they were more like parents because
what was their names?
they were Sherman and Eugenia Bell.
Sherman and Eugenia Bell. Okay.
I found out that through my grandmother's maiden name was Eugenia Poole.
Mm-hmm.
And I was going to school with a guy in my class was called Ernest Poole. I had no idea that they were family. They were calling me Cousin Bob.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked my grandmother once, I said, why does this guy keep calling me Cousin Bob? Because he's Poole. I said, well, so what? That was my name, Poole. We did not know that.
Mm.
She was a Poole before she was a Bell.
Mm.
And I had no idea. One was in my brother's class. I know Ernest Poole was in my class, and there was some older ones with Dorothy and mother and them.
Okay.
The Poole family was there, and I didn't even know.
Mm. Now, what did your grandparents do for a living?
My grandfather was really electrician from was the Missouri Pacific Railroad. He was a machinist out there. He worked 45 years for Missouri Pacific Railroad.
Is that where you get your knack for being able to fix things? Because you can fix everything.
Might have been. Might have been, because he did everything.
Yeah. That's the same dad. I always say my dad is a dad of all trades. Can fix and build anything you ask him.
My grandfather, that was him. He was like in his kitchen, his kitchen cabinet and stuff like that. He did all that. He put all that stuff in the house for her.
Okay.
So he was. I guess I did watch him.
Yeah, you did. So what about your mom and dad? Well, what about your mom?
My mom.
Yeah.
My mom was the most courageous woman I know, because she dealt with all those by herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't. It affected the way I grew up, because I ran with a lot of kids that got in trouble, and then I specifically tried to stay out of trouble out of respect for my mother.
Right.
Because she dealt with us by herself.
Yeah. Yeah. Grandma was an amazing woman.
I had no idea that until I started going to school reunions, that a lot of the older people thought they were calling me Bobby Bell. They thought I was the extension of Bell family, because I was Joanne was the youngest, and she was only 5 years older than me. So I guess they thought, because they were calling me Bobby Bell, and I had no idea.
Yeah. So, what was one of your happiest moments from your childhood?
Happiest.
Yeah. One that sticks out the most is a good childhood memory.
I think it was the association with Bobby Grant, because I was young, maybe 3 or 4 years younger than him.
Mm-hmm.
And he made it a point to come and get me anytime he got something new. He was the most unspoiled kid I knew. He got everything during his lifetime. Everything from motorcycles to a car in high school.
Mm.
His father even bought him a pony.
A pony?
Yeah, they lived right across the street from the fairground. They had a big, like a farm thing, but they didn't raise animals with that kind of space, you know. So he had no trouble when he got that pony. But he shared everything with me, and despite the age difference,
Right.
that's why I admire him so much. I can show you a picture of us together.
So I'm gonna ask you one more question about your early life, and then we're gonna move on. What advice would you give to your teenage self? If you could go back and talk to teenage Bobby Thomas, what would you say?
I don't regret a lot, but what I did was I hung out with older guys, always older than me. They in turn kept me out of a lot of trouble because they'd been through a lot of stuff. I was at least 3 years younger than most of them.
Mm-hmm.
And this helped me because it helped me grow because they were a good influence on my life.
Okay. That's good. So you would say your advice to even you have grandkids right now that are teenagers, hanging out with people a little bit older than them sometimes can be helpful.
I advise that.
Okay.
It worked perfect for me.
Okay.
A lot of people growing up, I always hung out with Everett Payne and Quentin Gray. Them guys were seniors when I was a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how far in it. The only class I hung out in my class was maybe Donnie Jones, when I told you about in the nursing home now.
Yeah.
But the rest, I didn't, not only boys, I didn't hang with none of the girls or nothing in my class. I was always dealing with the older people, and that's how I got it. That's why I don't understand how me and your mother got together. Because I never wanted to deal with younger.
She had something special. Okay, so I'm gonna pause here. All right, so now we're gonna move on to midlife. So these are kind of like questions I pulled out to just ask you about any advice you can give and stuff like that. So who were your best friends in your early 20s?
That had to be Chester Willis. And Chester he was before Jane Austen. We even worked in the A&P as stock boys. And stock boys, I don't know if people really know what A&P was. A&P was before Jules and Kroger.
Mm-hmm.
They were the big four chains. So we kind of grew up together in that age.
Okay.
I knew them right up until the time I got drafted in the Army.
Okay.
I met Gene.
Gene Austen.
Gene Austen later. We were both mail carriers in the post office.
Mm-hmm.
22nd Street, 22nd and State out of that station. And it was a young lady working at the post office, and she wasn't a carrier, but she worked in the building.
Mm-hmm.
And you give it out there what Jane was like. She once told Jane, she said, I like your friend Bob. Can you put a word in for me? And Gene said, if you know Gene Austen, Gene said, well, Bob is my best friend, getting ready to marry my second best friend. Is that word enough for you? Gene is terrible.
I love it. Friends that look after you. I love it. So let's talk about my mom. Can you tell me, do you remember where you guys went on your first date? Like, where did you and mom go on your first date? Where did you take her?
Yes, it was. I would say that it was a dance that they told me about. We went together on a dance, but I met her brother first. But I knew Randy. I knew Randy almost a year before I even met any other in the family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
How did you meet Uncle Randy?
At the time, Randy was what was this? Let's start with their father first. Their father ran a policy wheel. They worked in policy. He had them kids doing policy work when they were in high school.
What's policy work?
Policy is a game that mostly blacks played. It was a game before. It was like a lottery.
Oh, okay.
What the lottery did was replace policy, and they had to get all these guys off the street with policies before they could bring the lottery in.
Mm-hmm.
But that they were doing that when they were in high school. Their father did. He had Randy and William and Leon. They were working policy, and that's how I met Randy. And he introduced me to the rest of the family.
Oh, okay.
So he first introduced me to Yvonne. I knew right away that she was too young, so I wasn't really interested in her. and Lois was already married. She was more my age. She was married to Otis, which became one of my best friends when I was with Randy. Randy, his brother-in-law was Otis. So
yeah.
Eventually I had to meet the rest of the family. So it was a non-eventful thing because, like I said, I wasn't interested in her. She was far too young for me. I was 8 years older than her, so you know I had no interest in her.
Right. So let's talk about. How did you decide that you guys wanted to get married? Did you propose? Did you ask her? Like, what happened? What made
did.
Okay.
I did. It was I saw something there that I really didn't see in the other. The younger ones that I was always avoiding. She was. What attracted to me most to your mother was the fact that she looked so natural. I never saw her she never wore nail polish, she didn't wear lipstick. It was all just perfect, just natural. She would, even on our wedding, she didn't wear lipstick. When we got married, her nails were not polished or nothing. She was different from, I didn't know that. That I noticed right off the bat.
That's funny.
She never had first time she ever had her hair done was when we got married because my aunt Joanne she was a beautician, had a shop in Evanston. She talked Yvonne into letting her do her hair for the wedding because she had never had her hair done.
You know, that's funny. I think about it because, like, I've gone through stages growing up as a girl where when I was younger, I did try to do the nails and I did try to wear the makeup and stuff like that. But I'm finding, like, now that I'm in my 40s, I'm getting older, you know, I don't get my nails done. I don't wear makeup to work. The only time I may put on makeup is if I go like somewhere on the weekend. So I kind of taken after mom, I guess.
That's where Yvonne was when she was 18 and 19. She never, because that's before we got married. She was like, I guess 19 when she got married.
Well, that was gonna be my next question. I wanted to know, how old were you guys when you got married?
Yeah, she was 19. I was like 28 or something.
Okay.
So that's how big the age difference was.
Yeah.
And why I always avoided young girls. I just never because older girls were more advanced. I just didn't. I don't know. It seemed natural to me to be with. When my aunt was, Joanne was 5 years older than me, and at 16, I was going to parties with her.
Yeah.
Young lady once, Joanne told one of the girls, she said, y'all quit hitting on my nephew. And the girl said, well, if you don't want nobody hitting on your nephew, you quit bringing him to these parties.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
So that was me and older girls.
So what was your wedding like? I saw a few pictures. Where did you guys get married? What was your wedding like?
Well, the wedding was the preview of what's to come, because throughout life, my wife was always late for every place we went.
Yes, oh my God.
And it started with the wedding. She was an hour late. They were waiting on her for the wedding. She was not ready.
Yes.
So that was a tradition that started early.
Yes. Mom couldn't, oh my gosh, she could not be on time for anything. Lord.
If we were supposed to be somewhere at 8 o'clock,
oh yes,
she would start getting dressed at 8 o'clock.
yes, I remember that. I remember that.
I mean, how you gonna be there at 8 o'clock and you not even leaving the house at 8 o'clock?
I remember that. I remember like being old enough. I feel like it would be times where you and I would be waiting in the car, and she'd be like running around the house still trying to like do last minute stuff, and we would be sitting in the car.
And she was like that from day one.
Oh my gosh! So she was late to the wedding. Where did you guys get married?
It was a church on the west side, the church that they went to, because I knew nothing about churches.
What are we working on? So what about the reception? Was it at the church or?
No, the reception was at a place called Jesse Owens. You know the track star? Jesse Owens Tiki Room over on 22nd in Michigan.
Oh, okay.
And you could rent for 4 hours. So my brother said, take the second 4 hours, because when the second 4 hours was up, he gave them more money because we wanted to keep partying.
Uncle William.
Jesse Owens Tiki Room.
Oh, okay. So I know you served in the military. At what age, and like where were you stationed?
I was stationed in Korea.
At what age? What age did you go into the military?
Oh, I was like 22, I think.
Okay.
I got drafted.
Oh, you got drafted. Okay.
Yeah. I had Lake Meadows had just built the Lake Meadows area with the new buildings. I had signed up and got accepted in an apartment for the Lake Meadows, and never got to live in it, because then that's when I got drafted in the Army.
Okay.
I was stationed in, first 8 weeks was in Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The second I spent in Fort Ord, California. And from there I went overseas to Korea.
All right. So I'm gonna pause it again. Say that again, Dad.
The difference between you and Lance being born was, Lance is how old are you?
Almost 10 years, like 9, a little under 10 years. Like we're 3 months shy of 10 years apart.
When Lance was born, it was I think it was Weiss Memorial, and his birth was $400 and something. When Crystal was born, it was $13,000.
Where was I born? What
Michael Reese.
Michael Reese. And Lance was born where?
Weiss Memorial.
Okay.
And
Well, let's talk about that. How did you find, what was the difference? How did you feel when you found out about mom being pregnant with Lance versus how did you feel when you found out mom was pregnant with me?
Well, it was the fact that we had just moved in with the home we bought.
Well, this is, wait, with Lance?
Right. No, Lance was born when we lived on the west side.
Well, let's talk about Lance first because he's the oldest.
Yeah, well, we were living on the west side with dreams of buying a house. And so when we found out that Yvonne was pregnant with you, we finally was able to manage to finalize the deal on the home. And so that was working out perfect. So now we'll have 2 kids and they'll be in a home.
Oh.
And that was kind of a highlight.
That's good.
For our career.
That's good. Okay, so let's
Well,
talk
I was
about.
very disappointed because she couldn't bring you home though.
Oh yeah, I heard about that story.
Yes.
Why couldn't she bring me home?
Because you were a preemie.
I was a preemie. What did you tell people you used to do when I was little?
When I tell who?
You used to tell people, you told me that you used to put me in a shoebox.
Oh yeah, that was,
because
that
I was so
scary.
tiny.
I couldn't believe how small you were. And I really was scared to pick you up. You were just too small.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about you because you brought up me and Lance. Did you ever find anything difficult about raising kids, like being a parent?
No, I was very proud of my kids. And to this day, I never had an ounce of trouble with either one of them. I got friends that was spending money on lawyers with their kids being raised, and Yvonne and I were fortunate. Never had to deal anything close to that.
So would you say that I was the better child than Lance? No, I'm just playing. No, I'm joking. Even though we know I was. No, I'm just saying.
You know what was interesting with me is that the difference, the parents, how they treat each son, the kids. My wife was hard on Lance, and I was just the opposite with Crystal.
What do you mean?
I never even raised a voice or anything to you.
Oh, I know.
Lance, I had to.
So you saying
Girls are different, I guess.
right? You saying you were harder on Lance?
Yvonne was.
Oh, you said
No, Yvonne was harder on you than she.
right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, me and Mom used to butt heads all the time, but I think that's that mother-daughter thing.
Yeah, because
And
I was hard.
It was hard on Lance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I tell people all the time. I was like, my dad, he never even. I was like, you never even hit me. I was like, I never even been hit by my father, but I used to get whoopings all the time from Mom. So yeah, but you said so she was easier on Lance, and you were easier on me.
Yeah, I never. And I'm not sure what I'm getting ready to say. I think what I was getting ready to say.
It's okay. If you we can come back to it. If you remember, just let me know. So what have you changed your mind about over the years? Has there been anything that you've changed your mind about, like you felt different about it when you were younger versus now?
I know things I wish I had done.
What?
I wish I had been more patient with my wife than I was, because she was just a loving, caring person, and
Mm-hmm.
I never appreciated that enough, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was affectionate like we were. When we go out, she wanted to hold hand. I didn't want to hold hands walking in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't bother her at all. She liked that
Mm-hmm.
affection. I was just not affectionate enough. So I would change that
Mm-hmm.
because she was innocently, that was her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I felt uncomfortable doing that.
Yeah.
So
I get that.
that part I would change.
Yeah. So I know you like to listen to music. I always catch you like either in the den here listening to music or sometimes in the basement. What's one of your like favorite songs that you like to listen to?
Well, I'm torn between jazz. I grew up listening to country western music.
Mm-hmm.
I took a different path. I went from country western to jazz and then to popular music. It was we lived in Sedalia. It was an ex-preacher, Reverend Hayden, and he had a little group there. I used to go there and watch them practice, and they would practice at his house. And they would practice Stuart's older brother, Charlie Shepherd, playing saxophone. He's the one that introduced me to jazz. And they would go to Kansas City on weekends to play in clubs.
Mm-hmm.
And I got very interested in jazz through Charlie Shepherd.
Okay.
And that was Stuart's older brother.
So what jazz song?
My favorite jazz artist was a singer named Billie Holiday.
Billie Holiday.
To this day, I still like her. And musician-wise, my mother and their family grew up with a singer called Billy Eckstine. Billy Eckstine and Arthur Prysock and Billy Daniels. These guys were all before Nat King Cole.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother and all her sisters, they were all crazy about Billy Eckstine. I got a lot of his records now that they had in their home, you know. Mm-hmm. I got all that stuff. But my favorite singers was Billie Holiday and Nat King Cole.
Nat King Cole. Mm-mm. So, I know you traveled a lot of places. Is there any place that you wish you would have gone to that you haven't been?
I particularly wish I had traveled like Yvonne wanted, because Deborah and all her friends went on cruises.
Mm-hmm.
We never could vacation at the same time.
Yeah.
And I regret that, because that's the one thing like she wanted to do. We never got around to doing it.
Yeah.
So by the time I retired, and she was in bad health then.
Yeah.
And so I regret never going with them when they wanted to.
Yeah. You gotta take advantage of the moments, because you don't know how many you have.
That's true.
Yeah. That's a big lesson. Yeah.
Because we went out to dinners all the time with Deborah and Al and Dolores Robinson and her Uncle and Queenie. We never went on a cruise with them.
Right.
They went all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, and I regret that.
Yeah. Did you guys go? I feel like Mom told me. Did y'all go to Bahamas one time?
No,
only Jamaica.
Only for family reunions.
Oh, so only Jamaica.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe she told me she wanted to go to the Bahamas, but I thought you guys had went. but it might have been a place she was telling me she wanted to go.
Well, she wanted to travel with Deborah and them when we
Yeah.
wanted us to go with, like we were used to go out to dinners a lot.
Yeah.
They went on cruises and she was never able to go with them because of my work schedule.
Yeah. So last question, and I thank you for doing this with me, Dad. What life advice would you give to someone my age? If you going back, someone in their 40s, what life advice would you give me, or give anybody?
And we would have to, you really have to enjoy the moment because it's no second chance.
Right.
And it's nothing you can regret, and because life comes and goes too fast.
It does.
You miss out, you don't cash in on opportunities.
Yeah.
So when it presents itself, take
Yeah.
advantage.
Yeah.
Go.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy you did this with me. But that's piggybacking on that. That's why I'm always twisting your arm to come to Vegas to see me, to make sure you go to California to see your son, because like you just said, you have to cash in on the moments when you have them. When you're in good health and you're able to financially, just do it. But all right, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you, Dad.
Okay.